Hi everyone, this is Krishna Vandanapu, a Business Applications MVP, Microsoft Certified Trainer. In this video, we will learn how we can create business process flow component in Canvas app. By end of this video, we will learn how we can create a component with various status indicators to show the business process flow in a dynamic manner. If you are visiting my channel for the first time, this is the best time to subscribe to my channel to get all the latest updates, tips and tricks to create performant artifacts in Power Platform. Without any further delay, let's quickly understand what is the end outcome of this video, and then we will learn step by step how to create that business process flow component. I logged on to Power Apps Maker portal. To demonstrate this business process flow component, I have taken a basic example of employment registration. When user click on submit registration, the business process flow will show the user where they are exactly standing on. If the business process flow shows yellow, that is their current stage. Now, if I just say next, if all the mandatory fields were provided as part of the previous stage, then it will turn the business process flow to green. If there are any mandatory fields left blank and click on next, it turns that particular stage as red, so that the user knows that business process flow was not filled completely. And then when you go at the end, as we see in the business process flow, all the mandatory fields have to be filled to submit the registration process. Now, if you notice here, my next button got grayed out because this education is not fulfilled. As part of the business process flow, user can switch any stage to any stage by just clicking on the stage title. They don't have to do multiple next or multiple previous. This is the component we will be creating as part of this video. So let's dive into the topic and let's start creating the component. As per the Microsoft best practices advised, it is always good to create the reusable pieces of the app as a component. So what we are creating it as a component, and creating a component, you should always create it as part of a component library. Click on new component library, give a name as business process flow Canvas app, create. Now the time you say, it will create a fresh component library for that component. When you get the app open, it will take you directly onto components panel and give a name to the component as component business process canvas. And then now I need to define what is my width and height of this component. I always want my width of the component as app.width, whereas height I will define probably as 60. Now next step is to define the business process flow for the component. So how we could do that is, we know that there could be 4 stages or 6 stages, so our component should always be dynamic. So in order to generate the controls dynamically, it is always good to go with a gallery. So go ahead and click on insert gallery, add a vertical gallery. To a vertical gallery, we will provide the data source. Now before we go there, we will have to create some input and output parameters so that my component will be dynamic. If not, we will end up giving all the values in a hard-coded manner, which will make our component less efficient. Let's go ahead and create the input parameters. How we can create input parameter is, click on new custom property and provide the property name as where gallery items. What are the process stages we wanted to define? So it should always be a table, because we are going to give set of records, not one. So create it as a table. When you click on that, it will show you what are all the stages we wanted to show. So this one I wanted to take it from my example. I have replaced the static table which comes with the component with these values, as ID is the sequence of my stage, and what is the stage title, stage flag, which shows 2 as the completed, 1 as in progress, 0 as error, and 4 as not visited. And I have also added one more property as is current stage. what is the stage we are standing. So this one is to fill the color, this one is to highlight the stage with the yellow within the stage circle. Now I want to update the gallery input source to component table parameter. Now how we could provide data source to the gallery with that input parameter is component name followed by the input parameter. Now if you see, it automatically associates with that gallery. Let's go ahead and delete everything because we are not going to use any one of these, but we are going to use this one, count rows of the table what we have given as an input data source, because we want to see the entire process in a single row. So we are providing the wrap count as, now my wrap count became 5. My gallery should start at 0 and my width of the gallery is app.width. So that will make my gallery to stretch to the end. The first element I wanted to add as part of my gallery is a circle to show the stage number, which stage the user is existed or interested to go on. So most of the times we will end up adding an icon and add a circle under the icon, but icons will not come as a clickable object on the screen. So always go with a button. So click here a button. The reason why it is not coming, because the height is 1. Let me say the height as parent.height. There you go. Now change the radius of this button to 50 and change the button width to 60, which eventually turns the button as a circle. The reason why it is coming like that is the height I have mentioned as that. Let me say as 10 minus 10, and here also I'll say 50. There you go, a proper circle I got. Now here I'll say the Y position to 5 to make it. Now the first thing I need to do is I need to change this button to this item.id. There you go. Whatever the stages I have as part of my business process flow got associated with my gallery. The next thing what we need to do, we need to create one other button to show this kind of an effect. How we could do that is add one more button right in the gallery, make that to 10, change the width of the button to gallery template width minus 30. That will sit inside that particular zone. Now we need to change that, the effect of that. Now if you go here and now if you move this button to front, it automatically comes in the same effect. Now the next thing is, now we need to associate this stage title to particular stage title, this item dot status title. That will show the status title. Also I have reduced the font size to 15 so that it will look little cleaner. If you come here and say add that component on the screen, it automatically gives you option to click on the button. If you add a circle, you will not get that effect. Now let's go ahead and create some more properties to define the colors for each and every stage. Red for the error and green for the success and yellow for the in progress stage. How we could do that is just click on the new custom property, ensure that it is an input property and select the color panel. After you create that, click on the variable. It will show you a provision to change the color from default color to whichever the color you want. Now we want it as a red, so let's say 255 for red. I went ahead and created two more colors, for one is for success and the other one is for in progress. We need to change the stage number bubble. So select the button and go to fill color. Here we will say that if the stage is this stage, I want to show this as in progress. If not, depends on the flag of that stage, it has to show, which means that if the stage has any errors, it has to show error. If the stage is a successful stage, it has to show as green. Now if this item dot is current stage, this is one of the property we defined as part of the table. If you go and see the table, is current stage is true and stays as 2, 1 and 4. Now that is the one I am using here. If that is the current stage, what I'm going to do is that as in progress color, right? Now where gallery in progress color. If not, it could be either red or either green. How do we know that is that we will define with respect to this flag associated to that particular stage. When I write the complete PowerFX formula, it looks like this. If it is a current stage, I'm going to say in progress color. If not, depends on the flag associated to that stage, I'm going to show the color of that bubble. Now this one is now set. The next one what I have to set is the other button where it shows the stage title. This one also we need to go onto the fill color. Here we will change the behavior of the fill a little different because we want it in a transparent manner. So for that, what we will do is we will write another PowerFX formula as this. For this PowerFX formula, what I have defined is if the current stage and the status flag as 4, then show that as yellow color, which is in progress color. But here I'm fading the fill color to 75%. I'm not giving the 100% to make it super thick color. Now if you see the difference between this red and this red, it is 75% red. If I make the fade to 0%, it will show the thick red, but if I make the fade to 75%, it will reduce the impact of that red to mild color. This is how we can define our business process flow stages to identify the user which stage they are and what is the flag for that stage. Our business process flow component is almost ready, but we need to create two output parameters because we want these business stages to be clickable. If we don't want the clickable, we don't require output parameters. But if you want these stages to be clickable, then you need to create output parameters at the component level because we wanted to send which stage has been selected back to the screen. Say where selected stage ID. This must be output property and this as a number. Another property we need is a boolean property to send the message back to the screen. When user move between the stages, we need to inform the screen to switch between the stages, right? So that is where we need this toggle. Select this property as an output property and the type of this property is a boolean property. When you click on create, it will create one more output property. We need to set the selected ID value as per the user selection. How could we do that is, since we want to move the user whether they select a circle or the stage name to the respective stage. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to group these two controls. Select these two controls, right click and say group. Here it is. It created a group. Now on top of the group, I'll say on select property. Here I need to create a global variable. In component, you cannot use a local variable, so you cannot create update context. So you will have to use global variable. So create a global variable as set gvar selected id. Here what do we do? This item.id is what we will set. This variable we will have to set back to this output property. This will get the selected ID to that variable. Now that we created one more property as a toggle property, we need to assign value to this also. How are we going to assign the value is we need to create one more global variable as this. The global variable here is global variable toggle the stage. Copy this, go to that output property and assign this back to this control. Now let's go to the screen and add this component and see how it helps us to perform the switch between the stages. When I come back to the screen, it is got added. When you come here, the beauty is if you want to change the color to any other color, you can automatically change that. See this? I can change this color to any other color. Now, if I want to change the error color to any other color, I can quickly change that. That's the beauty when you create those colors as a property rather than as a hard-coded value. Now, I want to define this as a collection, because if I create my stages as a collection, I can use across my app. On screen visible property, I have created this collection as collection progress stages with the ID, title, what is the flag, which is 4, which means that not visited, and the current stage, that is the first stage is what I wanted to see the current stage, so I mentioned it as true. Now I'll replace the input for this component as this collection. Since we have created that as part of screen on visible property, I have to move out of the screen, come back to the screen. It automatically shows that stages. Let us see how that output property is helping us. Now create a label. Under this label, say component dot. It will show you all the output properties now, where selected stage ID. Now if you play the app, see that you are getting whichever the stage you selected. That is the use of the output property. We are sending it back. Now that we are able to read the output property from the component, this need to be assigned to a variable. If you want to assign that to a variable, there must be a listener which is coming out of this component. Unfortunately, there is no way I can listen to the component unless and until I add a toggle control on the screen. Toggle control has a behavior that it can listen to the input passively in such a way that if I turn on and turn off the toggle control. Now I am assigning that selected stage ID output from the component to a local variable as local variable current stage, and then I need to ensure that my toggle control is turning on and turning off as and when I change the value. Now if I just remove this and say lvar current stage, now it is by default showing 4. Now if I just say that, now this is where I'm going to use my toggle output property from the component. Default property of the toggle, I'll say component dot var toggle stage. Now that we assign the default property of the toggle button to component output toggle variable, now if I just switch, it turns on, turn off, turn on, turn off. If I don't have this, I cannot read the output which is coming from my component. If you notice, when I just hover onto that stage, it is turning to blue because we have only provided the fill color, but we need to provide the hover fill color as well. On this, with the same formula, go to hover fill color and use the same formula. Now if you come and play the app, for this particular circle it is not behaving. Repeat the same for other buttons also. So this toggle is only to read the output property, so you can always move the toggle behind the header control. Now go ahead and add the controls on the screen with a next button to validate the mandatory fields and turn the stage color from yellow to red or a green, depends on the values I provide. I have created a local variable on my screen on visible property, which is lvar current stage equal to 1, because I always want to start my business process flow with 1. That is one property I created. And also I have added some controls on my screen for the stage 1, which is personal details. Here I have added one HTML control to define which stage the user is. That is getting driven like this. If the lvar current stage is 1, I have defined this as my title. Stage is 2, define title this, 3 this title, 4 is this title. Remember, most of the times makers will end up creating multiple screens for multiple stages. We are not going to do that. We will be using containers. I have created a container. I'm hiding and unhiding that container. If user click on next, I want to move the user to the next stage irrespective of the values provided on the screen. If they have provided values on the screen, well, it will turn the personal details to green. If they have not provided values properly on the screen, how you could do that is we will need to validate all the controls. I have created a PowerFX formula to validate whether the user had provided the first name or not. If the user have not provided, I'm creating one more local variable to show the error message for first name property. Similarly, I created formula for all the mandatory properties. At the end, I'm validating under the stage 1 only. I'm validating as if any of these local variables is blank, which means that I know this stage got failed. So I'm patching my collection with the status flag as 0. We know that status flag 0 means error, which is what we have discussed while creating the component. Here we have commented as 0 to error, 1 to in progress, 2 to completed, 4 to yet to visit. Okay. So what we are doing, if there are any fields which are not provided, for that I'm patching my collection for that stage to status flag as 0, which makes the button in red color, and also updating the current stage to false, because that will not be my current stage. My current stage will be next stage. So the next stage is wherever I am here, where current stage +1, that will be my next stage. I'm absolutely sure that it will not go beyond the required thing. At the end, I'm upgrading my current stage from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 2 to 4 until my number of stages defined as part of my collection. Now, if I test this functionality, when I click on next, there you go. It turned to red because I have not provided the values as part of this. If I provide some value here, say next, it turns into green. That is how we can define the business process flow in Canvas app. So if user want to fill education details, they can fill education details here. Now, if I just walk you through the completely implemented app, I have created 4 different containers to define each and every stage controls, and then I'm validating each and every stage as part of my next button. I will be providing this as a package as part of my GitHub repository. You can download and you can start leveraging that. Once you are done with all your changes and validations, publish the component library. What is the advantage now is if you go to any app, even in this app also I can use that component. How I can do that is click on plus, get more, here expand that and say business process, say import. It automatically imports that component as part of this app under the library components. When you click on that, that component will automatically get added onto that screen. This is how I can reduce my effort when I see this particular component can be used across the apps. I hope you enjoyed the video and learned how to create a business process flow component inside the Canvas. If you like the video, hit like, add your comments. Here is my contact information. Thank you. Have a nice day.